Greg, hi, how are you?
I'm doing well.
Yeah, thank you so much for making the time. I really appreciate it. So, just a brief intro about you. You're more famous than you need to be introduced, but nevertheless, you are the president of Salvin Dental Specialties. So, for people who don't know exactly, you have specialized surgical instrumentations and all kind, and on top of it, you have a huge portfolio of regenerative materials. And you've been working with there for 25 years in the dental industry,
That's about right.
which we
Yeah.
will, yeah, we'll talk about that in a bit. And you are an alum of North Carolina,
Yes.
University of North Carolina.
UNC Charlotte. Got to make sure there's a
Yeah,
distinction. Yeah.
yeah, the
We're,
Charlotte, you're
we're
right.
very proud of
UNC,
that.
yeah, yeah. And you did a very interesting thing. You did the strategic coach, which is a 3-year focusing program for successful entrepreneurs.
Yes.
So you have an interesting background. So I want to start by asking you, how did you make it?
Well, my friend Edgar, Dr. Elchar, thank you so much. Yeah, I've been very fortunate. I've had some really, really good mentors. But real quickly, my background, I was basically raised in Charlotte, North Carolina. I grew up with the city. It was a small, medium-sized city as a child, and then growing up, and then the city really took off. So I've never left. I didn't have to. I had a lot of opportunity here. But very quickly, I was a member of the Army Reserves. You and I are both veterans, so thank you
Yes,
for your
indeed.
service.
You too,
Um,
and thank you for your service.
yeah, I joined the Army Reserve right out of high school to pay for college. So I was
Mhm.
in the reserves and going to college at the same time. Decided after 2 years in college not to sign a 6-year contract to be an officer. So I was an enlisted man for 6 years. But after college, I had this. I just had this desire to serve. So I became a Charlotte police officer for 5 years.
Interesting.
Had a great career. I really enjoyed it. Really learned how to communicate with people, all kinds of people. There's always a lot of stories around police work. So one of these days at a dental meeting, I'll tell you a few. I'll save it. I'll save it. I'll save it for today.
I would look forward for that.
Yeah, I've got some fun ones. But what I learned is I really I had an ability to communicate with people, and being serving in the military from 18 to, and then police work from 18 to 27. I was already a veteran. I'd already served our community on the police force. I decided to use my ability to communicate in business. So quickly, my father had a small business, and he had a small company selling telephone equipment to offices. I went to work for him. Learned a lot about sales and relationship building. And in 60 seconds, I'll finish the story. While I was working for my father, I met a guy in a business group, a guy named Bob Salvin. And he and I struck a friendship. I was about 27 years old, and there was a group of about 70 or 80 business leaders in Charlotte. They were all old guys in their mid 40s. I
Yeah,
laugh
it's
about that
true.
now.
I am indeed. Yeah.
Yeah, I laugh about that now. But I learned from them, and in working for my father, learned so much about relationship building. He had more of a conservative approach. I was a little bit more aggressive and entrepreneurial, and younger. So after 4 years of helping him build his business, I decided to leave, and I joined this crazy industry called the dental industry. For 2 years, I worked for a company called Cybron Endo, which is now a couple of different iterations. I believe they're owned by Vista now. um, but Bob Salvin called, and I had known him for 5 years in Charlotte doing business. And he called, and uh, he offered me a job. And I told my wife, I'm going to go work for this guy named Bob Salvin. And she said, "Are you crazy? You were 6 months away from taking the sergeant's exam. You left the family business. You were the top rep at Cybron Endo, and now you want to leave again." And I said, "Honey, I know it sounds crazy, but we have the same values. He started a company from scratch. He's an entrepreneur. He lives here in Charlotte, and he wants me to help build his company, and I'm going to do that." So it was a wonderful. I could talk on and on about Bob Salvin and what he means to me, but I joined the company in 2003 with Bob Salvin and William Simmons, and you know the rest of the story. I was fortunate enough to build the sales team from scratch. So a lot of stories. That's about career.
Yeah, no, I had an opportunity to meet Bob and deal with him. He's actually tried to help me in a couple of things, and he's a gentleman. He is a gentleman.
He's helped a lot of people. Yes.
Yeah. He's a wonderful man, and he has your accent, and it's I'm how can probably because I served in the army. I love people from the South. I think that they are men of their words, and it's refreshing. So yeah, that's interesting. Reason I asked you is usually I don't start with this, but I thought that when you talk about somebody who is in charge of a company, people forget that there is a human element of it. And I'm sure a lot of the people in the dental industry are going to listen, especially Salesforce and stuff. So it's interesting to hear how everybody made it.
Yeah.
And I know about you, so that's why I wanted, because it's a beautiful success, American success story.
It really
and
is.
Other people, yeah, it's true. And people that I interviewed in other industry, usually they came from MBAs and all of this, and from pharma to this to that. So your story is a beautiful story. It's a normal American boy that grew up in a small town at first. I mean, Charlotte compared to New York, and then he built it up. So that's why I wanted to start with this. This way, it gives you your real human and your real value. So now that we established this, that I know about you, so now let's move to the meat of the conversation.
Sure.
In different times, I wouldn't have started by this, but you guys are the suppliers for us, and in business strategy or business anything, you are the vertical integration. So you are the ones that none of the dental corporation can buy you. So you are going to always be there, and you are going to be part of it. Dental industry is like every industry right now. It's faced with challenges. We recently read in the news that Walmart was going to increase their cost or the prices, which is big. When you hear Walmart, you guys are not into the low pricing, but nevertheless, you are a distributor. So that's just to explain to the people: you don't manufacture product. You find product, you like them, and probably I will let you describe that better. So with the tariffs and all of that. So let's start first of all to let people how you find your instruments and the regenerative product, and you sell them. That's one. And two, how you are dealing with these tariffs and if there is a problem.
Yeah. So two interesting questions. So first is, how do we find surgical instruments or regenerative products? Honestly, we really two ways. Dentists, as you know, whether they're a general dentist or a surgeon or a periodontist, work with their hands. They're tinkerers. They are engineer-minded. They're thinking about better ways to build something, and we're talking about dental surgery or restore something. And so oftentimes they are thinking about a way to create a different instrument. So we have been very fortunate that we have had no shortage of ideas from dentists who are our customers. So oftentimes a dental instrument will come from an idea from a dentist, from a surgeon. Many of our products, the Picos retractor, the different mesh instruments. We just developed a microsurgical kit with Diego Velasquez. These were all, and Dr. John Russo, these were all instruments that doctors came to us and said, can you help me create something that would make my life easier, make something more predictable, easier for me. And we're all about that. So ideas come from our doctor surgeons, customer surgeons. When it comes to regenerative materials, not all the time, but oftentimes, and especially lately, some of the ideas have come from spine and orthopedics.
Mm-hmm.
Oftentimes those cases are bigger. They require larger volumes of material. And so oftentimes these biologic companies will go there first because it takes them almost the same amount of time to have something approved by the FDA. It's just on the other side of it because they're able to sell more volume. It's often they go for that market first, not always, but oftentimes, and then they'll bring it to the dental industry. So our company has really changed in the very beginning, and I hope you'll allow me to talk about how our company
Oh,
has evolved.
please. Yeah.
Yeah, Bob Salvin, and he literally started the company from scratch, knocking on doors, selling dental diamonds, diamond burrs in Charlotte, North Carolina. And he met a doctor, you may know him, you probably do, named Dr. Paul Homily.
Yes, yes.
Dr. Homily and Bob were good friends. And Paul said, I know Paul, so I'm going to call him by first name. Paul told Bob, come with me to these weekend meetings. We're learning about this new procedure called dental implants. Got my friends, we're trying to figure this out. And so Bob would sell diamonds all week and then drive to oftentimes someone's dental office, like Carl Mish's dental office, or this group called the Alabama Implant Study Club. And they would teach each other how to place, at that time, dental implants, but they were using basic rudimentary dental instruments like you would just use. And Bob was so surprised that he sourced some thoracic surgical instruments, put them in his car, went to the next meeting, put them on a card table. And a doctor said, wow, you've got everything but the implants, don't you? And Bob said, yes, I do. And trademarked the phrase, everything for your implant practice, but the implants. So for, the first 20 plus years of Salvin Dental, from 1981 to when I joined in 2003, Salvin Dental was known for surgical instruments, vital sign monitors, sterile gowns, and drapes. And then later on, William was looking on our website, and he found that the top searched term on our website was membranes. So that fast forwarded us and launched us into the regenerative space, selling dental membranes and allografts from LifeNet Health and putties and xenografts and so forth and so on. So much so that our company has completely transitioned to the majority being regenerative materials. And now we have a large sales force which calls on doctors, and we're trying to help doctors we're trying to make doctors' lives easier and help improve their surgical outcomes with the right surgical instruments and regenerative materials. We can jump to tariffs if you want to.
It's up to you if you want to close that. But actually, it's interesting. I forgot about that sentence. That's why not implants?
Yeah, everything for your implant practice, but the implants.
Sure. Implant. So why not implants? Why, you have such a portfolio. Were you not tempted?
So it's a great question. And really it comes down to this. As you know, the dental surgeon really doesn't need my help or a rep's help placing a dental implant. You're the expert. You know where it needs to go and how much bone is required and how to place it. What you really need, I would guess, and most surgeons tell me this, is the support to the restorative doctors and to make and to help them complete their case and treatment plan their cases, et cetera. So we knew a long time ago that we just didn't have the sales team at that time to support a surgeon and at the same time their restorative referral base to help them with their cases. And so it just didn't make sense for us. So
and it still does not make sense.
Still doesn't make sense. We can talk about the implant industry right now if you'd like. It's
well, we are having conversation. We can jump into it. It's not like because it's implants is a specialized product. There's tons of implants right now. I mean, I remember when I started, it was Brenner Mark and then 3i and it was Straumann, it was ITI at that time, and now all of a sudden I can't keep up with the amount of implants that exist. So I don't know if the market can handle anymore, but so what's your obviously you've studied the dental implant part of the dental industry. So what's your thoughts? What's holding you back on it? Do you think it's saturated? I'm not, whatever you tell me.
Well, so the industry is clearly changing. I won't name any implant company. I'm agnostic. I might use the colors of the implant company, and you can deduce who that is. Somebody told me once that there are 300 implant brands in the U.S. I can probably name 15. So I don't know who the other ones are.
Yeah.
But for the ones that we know, the green team, the red, the blue, the different colors that really are the big players in the United States. What's interesting is they all, for the most part, they all now have their premium brand, and they also have a value brand.
Correct.
Coexisting. And what's happening is, you read different financial reports and that are publicly available, is that they're having a hard time finding growth. I think technology is catching up quickly. Digital workflow is catching up. AI is catching up, and it's making it easier and driving costs down for dental implants. We always see the value brand implant companies are growing, and technology is catching up. I'm thankful that we are not in the dental implant industry. We need dental implants, but I think it's more important for us to think about rebuilding bone and soft tissue. In the orthopedic world, I was told by a colleague that it used to be driven mostly by selling titanium, and the dental implant industry has for a long time been driven by selling titanium. And that industry changed, the spinal orthopedic industry changed, and I think we're going to start changing, where it now is going to be driven by properly regenerating bone and soft tissue, and then you can choose your dental implant. Because we know that it doesn't matter what implant brand a doctor places, if the bone and soft tissue, what they say.
Yeah, absolutely.
Bone sets the tone.
Indeed.
Tissue is the issue.
Yeah. Tissue is the issue. So, but it's funny that most of these green and orange and blue, and they all have a portfolio, regenerative portfolio, which some competes with you, in a way. And funny enough that you took the position to be agnostic, basically being away from them, yet they invaded your market.
Yes.
What do you think?
I'm
pushing you a little bit, but
no, I'm glad you are. It's fantastic, and we're very well aware of it. What happens, fortunately or unfortunately, is a lot of those companies treat bone and the bone and soft tissue products that they carry as kind of add-ons or secondary or third place products, and their primary focus is selling implants. So oftentimes a sales rep, and there certainly are exceptions for sure, but they won't understand the difference between demineralized bone versus mineralized, or osteoinductive or osteoconductive, or space maintenance from a resorption profile, et cetera, and what those things mean. So you really do need to, if you're going to sell biologics, you really do need to be an expert in that field and not treat it like a second, just an add-on. Would you like fries with that? It's almost like, I'm going to sell you implants. Would you like some bone? And you really don't. Right. You got to know what you're talking about. There's, as very vast differences between the different types and quality of grafting products.
No, there's no question about it. And it's funny is that the regenerative market has not grown in the dental world to a point that is, let's face it, most of us are grafting and then putting implants.
Yes.
So it has grown, obviously, there's no question about it, but it has not grown to overtake the implant market. Although,
for sure.
Yeah, so this is where
follows each other.
Yeah, they follow each other, always below the biologic, biomaterials, whatever you want to call it.
Yes.
So having, and we're going to get back to the tariff, I just don't want to push it. We have to put things in perspective for people, because that's important. You mentioned something extremely important. You said that there is the premium implant, there's the value implant, which I I find it funny with the word value. And I and I and I interviewed Dr. Niznik on my podcast. It was very interesting. He gave a different approach to things. I mean, a lot of people, a lot of the companies that like to talk bad about him, but he's an incredible guy. He really brought the value, meaning cheap implants, a long time ago, and
he did.
He pushed them all into it. So it's funny. He's the engine of moving the compass. Right. He never went into regenerative himself.
Right.
Get out of it completely. The ones who bought him, we saw what happened with them right now. Yes. They introduced regenerative on them, so they basically diversifying their portfolio.
Yes.
And some of them went even further, became a group, and they have multiple things. So that's why I bring you back. That to the same question is like I'm not trying to be difficult, but
no.
When you see them, they are diversifying, they're creating groups and whatever. That doesn't tempt you till now.
No, not at all. And obviously Dr. Niznik, he's a pioneer, and he's you're right, he's an entrepreneur, and he's he's fantastic. You're right. He's a straight shooter for sure, and he knows his he certainly knows that dental implants for sure. Well, one thing about that is I don't know if you knew, I think you knew this, but we haven't brought it up. In December of 2023, we were acquired by Young Innovations. Young Innovations is a 100-year-plus-year-old company, and a lot of their products are known in hygiene and the restorative part of and preventative maintenance part of dentistry. They had acquired a couple smaller surgical companies, a company called Puregraft and a small pharmaceutical company called Medical Purchasing Solutions, and then a restorative company, very well-known restorative company called Preet. And so they acquired us in December of 2023. And what that did was a couple of things. That allowed Bob Salvin to retire. So he's retired, and certainly a shareholder of Young and an advisor. William Simmons and I stepped into bigger roles within Salvin. But Young Innovations we're talking about diversifying, has given us, has opened up doors to us to product lines and financial support, relationships that were much bigger than we knew anything about. We're now in the pharmaceutical business. We're about to launch a couple periodontal therapy products. Our CEO is Ken Sirota. He was the CEO of Hugh Freedy for 14 years. He's a phenomenal person, very knowledgeable about our space. So, but getting back to diversification and whether or not we're going to place an implant, or carry an implant, it's interesting that there's no talk of us or any of our other companies across our broader, Young Innovations company selling implants. There's so much more in the dental industry as a whole to offer dentists, surgeons to treat their patients than a dental implant, that I don't think we're going to go there. I could be wrong.
If my 2 cents mean anything, I think the implant is going to, as much as they think it's going to keep going on the rise, I think they're wrong. Basically, the studies have shown that the highest peak of income from implant companies will be in 2023, 21% of the market. And now, believe it or not, cosmetic and prosto is going back on the rise. So I mean, there's so many other things you can do nowadays in dentistry,
for sure.
And in the digital space, actually, in the lab space, and so many things. It's interesting. I didn't know that you guys been both, and congratulations. That's a big thing. That talks about your achievement. Your people don't
Young Innovations. They have been fantastic. They've been a fantastic partner. They've just again opened some doors, showed us some things that we didn't know. helping us grow and evolve. We couldn't be happier. They've been a fantastic partner for sure.
Yeah, it's a win-win. Always acquisition in the right way. Uh, so so now we got an idea about how your business function and all of that. Now we're gonna get to the bottom line because unfortunately dentists love to know how much it's gonna cost them out of the pocket. So the regenerative material, you're pretty good because it's all made in USA. So I don't think you have a problem on that perspective. The ones that might be a problem, and please correct me, is the supplies. The gowns, the surgical gowns, the thing, the that. So please tell me, how is it going to be? Are people going to expect the change in the pricing? And
It's interesting. No, thank you for bringing that up. I'll tell you a quick story. In probably March or May of 2020, at the height of COVID, one of our gown and drape and mask suppliers came to us and said, well, we may have a little problem with supply. Do you know where most of these personal protective equipment products are made? And we said, no, we actually don't, probably China. And he said, not only China, Wuhan, China, right in the epicenter. And we were, oh my gosh. So that was an education that I hope to never go back and study again. But we have been very fortunate. We have stayed away from having products made for us in China for a lot of different reasons. We made that decision a long time ago. We just found that the surgeons that we're going after expect high quality products from us. And so we never, ever compromised on selling something high quality. You and I joked offline, it's, the three elements of buying something. Do you want it fast, cheap, or high quality? And it's you can't really have something that's super high quality if you want it cheap. You get the point here.
100%,
yeah. So for sure, and we've had it impact us a little bit with our personal protective equipment, gowns and drapes and such, but they've done a good job, some of our suppliers, in helping to absorb costs or finding different suppliers or mitigating that. So I hate to disappoint you, but we right now really don't have a problem with that. I know that other companies have manufacturing partners in China and some of these other countries that are really impacted by tariffs, but that really hasn't been the case for us.
So you supply from everything, from gloves all the way. So that's smart, I guess. I mean,
yeah,
I'm glad that you brought up the pandemic. Although it's been only 5 years, but people have a short memory.
Yes, they do.
Yeah, they do. And so what I was surprised is I thought we learned the lesson and we started manufacturing antibiotic in America, but it turned to be not. And
right.
So that's good that you were in a way preemptive and positioned yourself in a better way. I know that instruments usually are made in Germany.
Yes.
It's always been and always have been. And I don't know if this is going to be an effect for you, but obviously it looks like you've kind of mitigated it and working through it. So we can tell the listener that there's not a huge impact that they're going to feel on this thing.
Not a huge impact from buying products from Salvin Dental. There may be some small products, but I don't have any that are top of mind. Right now.
That's good. I mean, that's what it is. It's nice to at least to calm everybody because nobody knows. We're all into the same thing.
Yes.
So the dentistry that it's funny when I was looking at, you've been 25 years. I've been a little bit more than you, not that much, but but
I'm just a novice. I'm just learning here.
No. I'm learning too. It's funny. Every time I do a podcast with somebody and I think that I know it, I come out smarter. I learn something new because it's always nice to hear people have experience. So, I went through academia and then this and that. So now as you know, I've learned the business part, and I'm trying to. I want to get your opinion from the supplier part. And then that's what I try to tell the listener, that we are in the center. We in the business, we are in the center. There is the supplier, there's the patients, there is the substitute, and there is the new entrant, which is your competitor. So that's how the world of business works.
Yes.
And it can be for you too. You have also your different verticals. But for us, it's the patient, the supplier, basically the buyer, and the seller of material so that we can make a product. For us, as like we are in medical, we are getting into corporation. And corporation, I'm sure they are big customers of yours. Let's be honest, everybody has a big DSO account for our customers. So how do you foresee the long term? First of all, from what you have seen, is the DSO is going to continue to be on the rise as it's been predicted? Let's start with that.
Yeah, that's a great question. Well, as you and I both know, and everyone who might listen to this podcast, the DSOs are here, and they're here to stay. Yeah. Backed by private equity, they're looking for returns. In my experience, we have tended to lean more towards the specialty DSOs or DSOs that do surgery, right? Because that's our product offering. I know there are some very large DSOs that focus more on general dentistry, and we do some business with them, but not as much as you might think. I think to DSO or not DSO, that's the question. Well, the bottom line is they're not going anywhere. I think that there's some real benefits to a doctor thinking about joining a DSO. If a doctor, here's some examples. If a doctor maybe has a lot of debt and doesn't want to go into the military, and their family didn't have much, so they finance their own education. Sometimes DSOs give them an attractive option to come in and work for them and help to pay their debt or start earning income immediately. I've seen some other scenarios where there's a doctor maybe later on in their years, and they just haven't found a suitor, someone to buy them. They haven't brought someone along, and they're looking for an exit. And sometimes that makes sense. But so they're not. So those are business discussions, right? Succession plan discussions. I think it's an individual decision, but for sure, DSOs are here to stay. There can be some really good ones that we have worked with for sure, that do some really good work, and those are the ones that we want to work with. We want to support those doctors. So it's really how I see it.
Yeah. So do you think that they're going to keep increasing in size, like the market share? Because the prediction is that they're going to go to 39% out of the market. And I had a dean, I was having a discussion with him, and he said, "Oh, no, it's not possible. I have it on a paper that I saw." But from what you see, you think it's going to go up more?
You know what I do? I think it is going to go to about 35%. But it was funny. I thought you were going to say, "Do you think it's going to go up to 50 and 60%?" Because I've heard those predictions as well. And if I don't think that would be the case. I think there's still a lot of value for sure. And any DSO would tell you this as well. It's got to work for both sides if you're going to join a DSO or a DSO acquires a practice. But there is certainly a lot of value for either a single location or multi-location privately held practice. There's a lot of value, and if the doctor and the relationships and the financials and the exit strategies if you can make that work, then it's a beautiful thing. But the DSOs are obviously a good option as well. I think it's hard for me to answer. It's certainly growing. And we're going to have to, as a business, as an industry supplier, we're going to have to adapt to it because we don't control it.
No, absolutely. Nobody will ever blame you. That would be stupid to.
That's right.
To anybody who says otherwise. You are in here to make a business. So whomever wants to buy from you, you buy from me.
Yeah.
and like they have a better bargaining power than any of us. So that's also commendable for that. Yeah. No, I'm predicting it's going to be between 35 and 39. I don't know more than that. I doubt it, but again, I have seen a lot of surprising things in the dental space. So that's good. So we covered the DSO, we covered the tariffs, we covered implant and how the company functions. So do you see any new innovations that are coming into dentistry, or you predicted, and that we are not seeing yet, because you scout for them?
That's a good word. I actually do a lot of scouting. I've been doing scouting for 10 years or so about what to bring, what not, and actually most importantly, what not to bring. Sometimes you see something that looks interesting, but it's hard to monetize it. I'll give a shameless plug, because I do think it is pretty revolutionary. We just introduced a product that you're familiar with, called Origin. It's the first cellular bone allograft or cellular bone matrix with lineage committed bone cells. There are certainly other cellular bone allografts in the marketplace, which offer undifferentiated mesenchymal stem cells. And the science says that those take 3 to 4 weeks to differentiate. That's right. And so what Origin does, pretty revolutionary, is allows a surgeon to place a product where those lineage committed bone cells start to lay down bone upon implantation, and we've got data to prove that. That's one. So when I talked earlier in the conversation about how it might transition to where the bone and soft tissue, those things the technology can help regenerate those parts of the surgery, maybe faster, maybe more predictably. There's some benefits. We want to be we at Salvin Dental want to be on the forefront of that. And then another technology that we just introduced along that same line is a product called AlloSpark GF, which is a product that we brought in from spine and orthopedics. And basically it's a lyophilized powder that's got nearly 1,000 unique proteins and peptides that you could add to your choice of allograft. So it just helps to enhance your allograft. Again, it's been in spine and orthopedics for about 10 years. So the efficacy has been proven. We're just bringing that into the dental surgeon's armamentarium. So those are two things. I know there are other parts of dentistry where, digital workflow and other parts are, there's a lot in AI, artificial intelligence and AI. There's a lot of technology there. I don't know as much about those things as I know about bone and soft tissue regeneration. So
that's actually, I'm glad that you brought up Origin. I'm very familiar with it. Yes. And that was a very gutsy move. I mean, I have to commend you on that, because and let's tell the listener why. Because it's a product that it's expensive, obviously, and dentists have to criticize my colleagues, and I'm sorry, I apologize ahead of time. I don't want to offend anybody, but we are cheap. We like for cheaper stuff, and that's what xenograft still survives. It's cheap versus an allograft, which is a lot of technology behind it, and a lot of thinking, a lot of testing and stuff like that. So for you to take a decision like that, to bring a product that's expensive, I'm a big believer on it. I had the opportunity to work on it. I had an amazing results. So if anybody is listening, I totally second that choice. But I'm very impressed that you took that decision. It's a gutsy decision, and I wish you all the luck with it. And because it's important for me as a clinician that you don't wash your hands out of it. So
yes,
that is an important thing. because we've seen it. We've seen products that they create, but then they're expensive, as you said it, cost, quality, and yeah, and people say, "Oh, I don't want to spend that money." So I'm gonna give an advice, if you allow me. I don't want to hijack. I'm the host. I'm not the speaker. But if you have a case that is difficult, you want a product like Oragen. Let's face it, Oragen. Or I don't want to sound like I'm selling or I'm pushing for your product. But those kind of a product that they can give you that boost that you need. And it's very interesting. Actually, I had a podcast with Dr. McAllister, and we've discussed that. And Brad had a long, all of his career was on vital cells.
Oh, he's phenomenal. He's one of the thought leaders in the world. He won't say he is, but he is.
Yeah. So he has a lot of experience. I have more in the mineralized, because that was my thing.
Yes.
But I was involved in Infuse back in the day, and it was a great product if it used properly. It was very expensive. I was able to tell the patient, look, your case is difficult. I want to use this product, and it's going to cost you a little bit more. And they were okay, because you tell them why I'm using Oragen. So that's my advice for you. So don't see the number and that's look. You need to look at the result. And the results, I'm telling you, I've tested it. I've worked on it. Me, Brad, and other wonderful colleagues.
We could go on and on. Sure. Yes.
Yeah, they were excellent surgeons, and they have amazing results. So that is commendable for you. So this is the beauty. You stay in the regenerative. You are not venturing out. No AI, no digital, nothing.
Yeah, no.
You're shaking your head.
I went like this. I went like this because AI, because that is changing. I'm not sure that we're going to sell an AI product, but the use of AI, for customer identification, etc., we might use that to help operate our business more efficiently. Digital dentistry, I don't think that we're the right partner for that. There's certainly many other companies that use that type of technology, and that's evolving so quickly. I don't think we could keep up. But I guess a shameless plug for a surgeon that is really looking for a company that really understands regenerative materials, specialized surgical instrumentation, and other kits and products around what a dental surgeon does every day in their practice. I think we're a good choice. We'd love the opportunity to help and speak to you. I know sometimes dealing with some companies might seem like they're wasting your time or just paid visitors. We never want to be that. We want to form a relationship with you if you will allow us. So that's what we're about.
Yeah, no, I always had a great experience with your sales force. They're very nice and polite, and I have to say. Well,
we're not perfect, but we try.
Well, nobody's perfect, including me. But,
I'm certainly not.
But it's a replica. Usually, the sales force, I always say, it's a replica who you are. So,
thank you.
So I want to start getting towards the close. I'd like to keep it within 30 minutes for a reason, because you're gonna get bored of me, and that's one. You can cover a really good thing about it. More than that, it becomes boring for the listeners. So we talked about your new innovation that you are venturing in. We talked about the DSO. We talked about tariffs. We talked about implants. You said your thing about digital. I have to second you. Everybody is in it, and I think at this point it's becoming oversaturated.
Yeah.
You can keep up with who you want to buy from or deal with and stuff. So really, it's I think it's a good move. I mean, if my opinion.
Yes, it does.
So to conclude these things, there's two things that I would like to ask you. Uh, it's a world that is evolving in branding.
Yes.
Company can stale if the brand is still the same. A lot of the new folks don't care to go to a booth and meet Bob Salvin or meet you. And I've had the honor to meet you and Bob over the years, but they don't do that. They want things coming to them, if I may say, or social media. Or so, how are you as a company that was used to the handshake and personal contact, and now you're evolving with the new generations that they look at things differently? I'm not saying it's bad. I mean,
right.
That's the world, and we have to respect it. So, what do you think? How are you positioning yourself in that?
For sure, and you're making a great point. I'll answer your question specifically, and then maybe I'll give a challenge to some of the younger doctors or just doctors in general. Mm-hmm. So we very recently we have retained, if you will, a national marketing company where we're going to be purposefully launching a digital marketing campaign. You have to. In all the social, we have dabbled in that a little bit with eBlast and some social channels, but we're actually going to be a lot more strategic in that approach, because again, as you mentioned, you have to in today's age. But I'll also say that nothing replaces handshake to a handshake, a relationship, breaking bread with someone, seeing them again. Oh, I saw you at the last conference, or I saw you at this meeting, or etc. Nothing replaces that. Nothing. You can take an online CE course about anything, but we're talking about dentistry. But nothing replaces a hands-on experience where I could go, talk to Dr. Elcharan about your show me how you handle that instrument. Show me how you hydrate that membrane. When do you actually introduce it into the surgical site? How do you tie that suture? And what's the material feel like? I can go on and on. So my challenge would be we've got to really encourage people, and maybe we've got to do a better job of enticing them and inviting them to go back to some of the national trade organizations, all the alphabet meetings, AAP, AMOS, AAID, ICOI, AO, all of them. And then also the next generation of hands-on training courses. Back in the day, everyone went to MISH, everyone went to PICOS, everyone went to the Russo Cadaver course, everyone went to some location of an AAID Maxi course, and so forth and so on. The Resnick Institute, we can go on and on. And so we really need to get back to that hands-on education, and maybe sprinkling in some digital education. But I'm passionate about it, so I'm probably rambling. Thank you. That's just my opinion.
No. I agree with you. There is nothing like you build a relationship. I met you on a booth.
Yes.
Many years ago.
Yes. And I still go. I still go to the meetings.
Yeah. And it's funny when we reconnected. Your name from back in the day, it was in my phone. So
yes,
that's all what it is at the end of the day. Look at you now. You're the president. So it's fun. No, but it's fun to see. This is one thing that I want them all to hear. I have so many people that I've met. They were at the beginning, and then now I deal with them on a higher level. And the people tell me, how do you know all of these guys? I mean, you're like companies like you and stuff. I said, no, because I've met them when we were all young. At the beginning, we met in person. You leave an impact, and later on, you will always remember them. So I urge them to go to the booth, touch the damn instrument, meet the guys on the booth, because tomorrow they might be a president of that company, and even an advice for the sales force.
Yes,
that's how I met you. So I it's an interesting thing for that. And you're right, the digitals, you have to be present.
Yes,
I don't know how much I feel. I don't know how to say. I have a mixed feeling about only the social media as a tool of knowing about an instrument. I even dentists, even to find a dentist on social media and go to them and trust them with your treatment. It's sad. It is, but it is a new reality, and we have to accept it as we
Yes.
accepted a lot of things. So, so we talked about branding, we talked about all of that. So, what is your word of wisdom that you want to give your sales force,
Hmm.
somebody who wants to enter in your business, to the dentist? I mean, you've given enough stuff for your dentist, but
Yeah.
nevertheless,
I think and you struck this on me quickly, but actually I've got an answer, and this is what it is. You can fake a lot of things. You can fake caring. You can fake knowing what you're talking about for a little bit, but you can't fake showing up. My advice to doctors or business people or colleagues is you've got to show up, and you've got to keep showing up, even when you don't want to. You got to show up on time. You got to do what you say you're going to do. Let your word is your word. You got to finish what you start and say please and thank you, which is just another way of saying just be nice. And when you do those things, you'll get to have great friends like my friend Edgar, Dr. Edgar Dalchar, and
okay,
so
good.
many others, and have relationships like this. That's it. Show up and show up on time. Do what you say you're going to do. Finish what you start. Say please and thank you, and just keep showing up, and you'll build relationships like you and I have.
Yeah, no, it's true.
Yeah.
Right, Greg, I really want to thank you for making the time. I
An
know how
honor.
busy you are. No, it's an honor for me too. And congratulations on this beautiful journey.
Thank
Keep
you.
it going. I love to. I'm admiring watching. So and we'll be in touch soon, hopefully. Okay.
Thank you so much.
All
Have a
righty.
nice,
Take care.
appreciate
You
it.
too. Thank you, my friend. Take care. Bye bye.
Bye.